Greetings. Muy bien. Молодец. Дуже добре. Все буде добре. Але я не знаю коли або як. All will be well, but we don't know how, and we don't know when. It really is. It's Ukrainian saying. All will be well, but we don't know how and we don't know when. Yeah. Yeah, actually it's kind of cool. It's kind of stupid in a way. Not stupid, but it's kind of like ridiculous in a way. Like, I'm using infrared cameras and software models to see how hot water gets cooler. I want to look at it, you know? I want to see how hot water gets cooler here. And I can show you. Let's see, where is it? Ah, here we go. See? Here is a Petri dish. It's modeled off the same one that I have. And I used for, what's interesting, so seawater, liquid. 33.5% salinity, and then there's a little air gap on top, and this is supposed to be Pyrex. I just have plastic, but really close enough. And then I go down here and can play it. And see, it gets cooler. Yeah, because the bottom, I mean, it's a simulation, but from, you know, there's an air gap on top, you can kind of see it, but what I want to do to start with is, you know, can I accurately model in a graph and in a 3D model the cooling off of the control for different salinity levels, because I can pick different salinity levels from like 0 from tap water all the way up to 3.8. But you know, I have like 10%, 27%. It gets kind of hard to see how it's going to flow when you get up to high percentages, because it's non-linear behavior. It's like it's not just linear. So, but what's interesting with salt water is when you go from like no salt up to saturation, so your electrical conductivity goes up with more salt, you know, because you have more ions in the water, they carry electric current. But your thermal conductivity starts to go down, and so it'll conduct electricity better, but not heat as well. But then when we attach the electric potential, we should see the increase in electrical and heat conductivity. But I want to start with my let's see, where is it? I want to start with the basic graph of heat flow for the control, and this looks pretty similar actually. But let's see, after 500 seconds. You know, so what I can do is look at these and see how they vary. But I mean, if you look at this, like, so it started at 80, and then should be down to ambient at 20 by like maybe 10 minutes. I already know this isn't right, so looking at my sample here, it has been 20 minutes. And it's at 31 degrees. So, clearly something in my sample is not the same. But that's part of it, you know. Even what I found, every single time I read these articles on something simple about like especially seawater, like they're like, okay, what is the average characteristics of seawater? And then they're like, oh wait, no, this is actually, they said, when you say average, think of all the seawater in the world from from Rio de Janeiro to the Arctic Circle, and even depth. Like surface is not average. There's a lot of water that's under. So they said actually average, when we look at what is the viscosity, what is the conductivity, what is the salt level, it's actually like 1 kilometer underwater if you had to pick the average point for seawater in the world. And even some of them at MIT, they wanted to look at what surface tension was. And so that's like how much pressure can you put on the surface of water before you break through it. Because there are a lot of even like insects, like water, there are these like little insects that will just skate across water because they're so light that they can just walk across it so they don't break the surface tension. But so they said, well, what happens to surface tension as the water gets hotter? And they're like, oh my gosh, when you get up to like steam, they're like, this is almost impossible. So all these seemingly simple things are not so simple. It really is. I mean, water, we take it for granted and it seems really mundane and it's great for coffee and tea, but absolutely. And wine and pretty much almost every process, even in our bodies, thinking about the complex behavior of water and salt and how all that interacts and how to measure some of it. It's not easy at all, really. But even I'm looking at this model here. Wow, even average 28. So clearly, my COMSOL model is not modeling what is going on here. But even instruments, like this says 81.4, but it's clearly not, because this says 55.1. Anyway, there's just a lot of nonsense that goes on. Same thing with software. Like, it sounds good. You're like, hey, wait a minute, what if we could make virtual teachers? And you're like, oh no, this is not easy at all. Yeah, but I just want to get beyond ideas because I'm not getting any younger. But I actually in March 17th, I want to go to Paris, and I've never been to Versailles, to the Palace of Versailles, and I saw films about it when I was a kid in history class, and all the fountains and the Palace of the Hall of Mirrors and the throne room. Now you can actually go in and see where the longest living monarch in history, he ruled, not longest living but longest reigning. His reign was literally 72 years and 110 days. And he was always at war, mostly in the 1600s. It was really pretty crazy, like what we talked about last week. But, so how are you? How are things in beautiful, peaceful Brazil? No. Ah, okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Huh. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the end of the year. And, I mean, here today it was 25 degrees, and it's going to be winter on the 21st in 10 days. Yeah. Yeah, but, and of course it's summer in Brazil. It would be nice Brazil would be nice to be able to go to, because from Europe down to Brazil, like if winter's too cold for you, just go to Brazil. And if it's too hot in Brazil, you just go, to Europe. And you can pretty much go wherever you want. I mean, it's really quite easy now to live in two different places. Like, it can be done. Yeah. Yeah, and here we're just, let's see, I don't know if I sent you. Here, I'll show you let's see. I watched the video you sent me on Gemini. Of course. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think, we should take all of it as, whether it's ChatGPT or Bard, or, understand that it's a process, and even though, okay, sure, it's a display, like with robots, I mean, Elon Musk actually brought out a person in a robot suit, which I thought was pretty ridiculous. I mean, even, I used to like Musk, and I respect, starting SpaceX and Tesla. But I think the money and the power has gotten to his head, and now he's just a total jerk. And yeah, he basically sits around and posts on X all day. Like, I don't see how he's building rockets, because, like, I've worked for a very small rocket company, and oh my goodness, I can't post all day. Like, literally, we have things to do. And, he talks about working 80 to 120 hours a week. I mean, maybe he used to, but now, I mean, when you're the richest man in the world, like, what else do you have to prove? I mean, I'm not saying take it easy, but, like, one of his favorite pastimes is playing video games. And one time, he was showing somebody how he plays Fallout 3 when that came out. Okay, I've played Fallout 3 so many times, all the way through, with so many different endings and characters and side quests. You cannot be a full-time, like, you cannot actually play Fallout 3 and know what's going on in the game and have, like, a full-time job where you're working more, like, 2